MVVM. It sounds like a vaccination or a star cluster, but it's actually a programming pattern. And today, Karl Shifflett has come by from the WPF team, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and he's been on before, and I asked him to come here today to tell us what MVVM really is.
Today we're going to talk about model view view model,
Okay.
and it's a WPF UI design pattern.
Okay.
And so what does that mean? Does that mean that a developer has to go and learn a whole new thing in order to use WPF? No. What it means is it's a coding model. It's a set of guidelines that when you follow them, it makes it easier to write WPF applications, and it enables them to be unit tested. Just to give you a quick overview, this screen that we have here is a model of what an LOB or line of business developer would easily recognize, in that we have a database and a data layer, and there's a business layer, and there's a model, and the model would be, people would know that as their business entity objects.
Okay.
And so in a ASP.NET world or a WinForms application, above these layers you would have your UI and code behind pages, code behind files.
Right.
And they would talk to your business layer and consume the data from your business entity objects.
Okay.
So let me give you a couple reasons of what MVVM does for you and how the breaking apart is going to greatly benefit a developer.
Okay.
So the first part that I like to bring up is that it enables UI unit testing. Real simple UI unit testing. So I come from a software shop, and there was 5 of us in the whole company. We had customers all over the country, and so now as we were developing our products, our greatest cost. Let me ask you, what do you think the greatest cost is in the life cycle of developing applications?
It should be design, right?
You would think.
If you do it right or no?
Well, universally,
yes,
business owners would agree and architects would agree that maintenance is the #1 cost in software, in a software application lifetime.
But that's not the fun part.
It's not the fun part, but it's the part where, those customers, they're always wanting to have a new feature or make a change. And so now, what we're trying to show here and what we're trying to teach is that a software shop, a developer, can go ahead and use MVVM, and one of the byproducts out of it is to easily unit test his application, so that as changes are made to the app over the lifetime of the entire app, the unit test can prevent regressions and issues from coming up and customer support issues.
Right.
And so maintenance being the #1 cost, I'm, as a developer who likes to not have to deal with problems on a daily basis, like bugs, so I like to think, well, what is the best way to teach, and what's the best way for me to write my software so it doesn't have bugs in it? And be able to unit test, that's awesome.
Right.
Now, another reason that I really like the MVVM pattern is that it enables the designer-developer workflow in a way that in the past, the way that we can look at this is the HTML world. There was always that friction between who's touching my HTML, who's touching my code, and who's touching my styles, and there was always this friction between the two camps. Whereas now, with the WPF, and using the model view view model design pattern for application development, you're able to split the two teams easily, so that you can see from the chart here where the view model is a code file that really is completely disconnected from the view. In fact, one of the definitions of, or one of the litmus tests, if I would, for MVVM is, can you run your app from a unit test without the UI?
Right.
So John Gosman said you should be able to run your entire app without the benefit of a UI ever coming on screen.
Okay.
That's a litmus test for doing MVVM.
All right.
So because we can do that, we're able to separate this out, and a designer can now freely express himself and pass back requirements to his developers, and they could add additional properties or functionality to their models without the designer, without this friction that typically is going on in UI development areas.
Thank you for showing us what MVVM is.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed our Hawaiian shirts.